Hi, I'm Lam. Welcome back to Keeping Up with the Queen. Today, I have a very fun video for you. Today, we're going to compare the new Natasha Denona Glam palette. This is the extension of the mini Glam palette that was released last year. And we are going to compare it to the Pomegranate Labs Mothership Subliminal Platinum Bronze Eyeshadow Palette. This is part of her mini size palette with 6 shades and a little bit of information about each. This one is brand new. It's $65 US and it comes with 15 eyeshadows inside, and it has different formulas like matte, shimmers, and shimmers with glitters in them, and it's a neutral to cool tone palette, and it's lean, pretty smoky. As you can see, I made a video yesterday of my first impression, and I did some comparisons between this palette to some of my palettes that I already have. The platinum bronze from Pomegranate really remind me of the Glam palette, because as you can see here, this one is $65 also. You can get it from the Pomegranate website, but currently this is sold out, and I think because it was a Labor Day weekend sale, 50% off, which is the price that I get this off. So I did get it for $32.50 I think, and it has 6 shades. As you can see here, it has one matte, a few shimmer shades, and then some more metallic shades. It seems like the Glam palette is just kind of an extension of this palette in a way. I don't think either of these palettes are limited edition, so you don't have to run out and get it right away. So the point of this video, okay, let's see. The point of this video is just to compare the two to see if they actually can do the exact same thing, and then based on the result of this video, you can make a decision for yourself to get either of this palette or both of them or none of them. Because, for example, if you already have the platinum bronze palette, they both do the same thing, then you don't need to get the Glam palette unless you want more options for different type of shades, because it does have a little more variety with the silver and some pinks in here that the platinum bronze doesn't have. Or you just want to try out the Natasha Denona formula, and vice versa. If you don't have the platinum bronze and now you're trying to make a decision between these two, if they're doing the exact same thing, then maybe you'd like to go with the Natasha Denona because you have more shades, you have more options with the same price. Unless, say again, you prefer Pomegranate's formula and you don't want that many options, you get overwhelmed, you just kind of want to get straight to the point. If they're doing the same thing, then this is a more straightforward approach. You don't have so many choices, and sometimes you get this for 50% off, so basically it's $30. So that's the point of this video. It's kind of for you as a reference so you can make a choice, and for me to just test it out because I like eyeshadows, I like cool tones, I like smoky eyes, so I just want to test them out. And what I'm going to do today is, first we're going to do some swatching between these two and see if the colors are really similar, and then I will zoom you in and we'll try to do some looks using both of these palettes on each eye, and maybe one look, maybe 2 looks, and I'm going to try to create the same exact look to see if they can do the same thing. That's the point. So with that said, let's get to swatching. I'm going to refer to this palette, the Pomegranate Platinum Bronze, because it has fewer shades. So I'm just gonna go from the first shade in the first row to the second row, and I'm gonna swatch each of these shades on my arm, and then I will go into the Glam palette from Natasha Denona and I will look for similar shades and we'll swatch them next to the swatches from the Platinum bronze. The first shade I'm going to go with is this shade right here. One more time here. It's actually a very neutral shade. The Glam palette, I really do think that it is close to the shade called Inner Corner, so I'm gonna swatch that. So the thing I note in my first impression video is that the Mcgrath formula seems to be a little drier. The Natasha Denona is a little more creamy to the touch, but I don't know if it's because I already have the Mcgrath palette for a while. They're pretty similar, but the Mcgrath you can see is a little darker. This one from Natasha Denona is a little bit brighter in color, and is also has a little more sparkly to it. This one is more of a true kind of shimmery velvet kind of a shade. Next shade I'm going into is this one. Very intense. You can see that. And I thought in the Natasha Denona, I'm going to swatch it against the outer eyelid shade right here and the outer eyelid, another outer eyelid shade. So I'm just gonna get those. This is the first. So you can see they are they're a little bit close in tones, but they're not the same. Full tone, taupey, and shimmery shade from Mcgrath Platinum Bronze here. I thought I might compare it to this shade, which I already swatched right here, but I'm gonna do it again. Just so that we can see, you can see now is the opposite. The Natasha Denona is a little darker. So actually I'm gonna go to this shade right here, center eyelid, similar. Okay. So see, again, it's different. This one is much more silver, and this one is more taupey. The next shade from this is a totally different matte, kind of a burgundy. It has a little bit of purple to it, but it's a matte brown, and I'm gonna swatch it against probably the smoke shade right here and the black. So this is the smoke shade from Natasha Denona. This is the black. Do it one more time. Okay, so again, totally different. The Natasha Denona seems to be a little lighter. The next shade I'm going to swatch is this one, very cool purple. I don't think there's another. This is one of another shade that I don't think we can duplicate from the Natasha Denona. You see how pigmented that is? And I thought that was really, this is the only shade that has a little bit of similarity in tone. Not really though, it's a lot more silver. This one has a lot more purple in it, a little bit pinky. So I thought maybe I would mix the first pinky shade here with like maybe the smoke shade underneath. So I'm gonna put the smoke shade underneath and the pink shade on top. Okay, now you have something, but still it's not the same level of depth. Last but not least, this is very interesting. We have this bronzy shade right here that I want to swatch against this bronzy shade here. It's Pat McGrath. This is Natasha Denona. Pretty different, so I will try to put the Natasha Denona maybe on top of the black shade to see if we can replicate depth. Okay, so you can see that deepen up a little bit, but it's still not as intense as this. So those are the swatches. You can see they are not really the same, but they are the same vibe. So I think we can recreate something on the eye that are pretty close, but I don't know yet. So let's zoom you guys in and we'll attempt our first look. I already primed my eyelids using the Morphe eyeshadow primer, and I thought let's first go with something of this route. So a little bit of a smoky gun, metally, silvery kind of a tone. The Glam palette is very heavy in that silver gunpowder, gray kind of a shade. So let's try to attempt that. I'm going to use the Glam palette on this side and the platinum bronze on this side. Let's go with Pomegranate first as a reference since it has a smaller selection of shade. I'm gonna go in first with this shade all over my eyelid. Very easy to blend even though it's a little bit intense. Blend it out. I'm actually going now with the same shade but with a smaller flat brush to concentrate it on the outer corner. Really darken up this area. And then I would switch the side, fluffy brush with no product. You see how this palette is so good for just kind of a one and done kind of a look because I have only dipped into one shade. I'm going to dip into the brown shade right here and deepen out the outer corner as well as the lower lash line. The thing I like about this Pomegranate is that it gets smoky really easily. Right now I cleaned off my flat side brush and I'm gonna dip into this lightest shade as my inner corner highlight. The inner corner highlight is really gonna help bring some light to it. And I'm gonna pop it on a little bit here. Okay, this side is done. For the Natasha Denona side, I'm first gonna go into this outer eyelid shade and I will just pack it on my upper eyelid to see how it looks and then we'll adjust based on that. So I use the same brush. Okay, the undertone does have a little bit of purple to it, which is really good for this. Look how pretty that is, just one color. That's why I was so excited for this palette. So far, because the pigment is lighter, it's actually easier to blend out. Now I'm going to use the flat brush. Again, I already cleaned it off. I'm actually going to dip into this smoke shade right here and maybe the lash line, depend on how dark the smoke shade goes. Yeah, it doesn't really deepen it up quite enough, so I think I will have to go in with the lash line shade to really deepen it. There we go. So immediately this shade doesn't have the purple tone that the darkest shade in the platinum bronze palette. So you can immediately see this side is a lot cooler, but I will try to mix color so that we can recreate a similar look. Actually gonna pack some more of the outer eyelid shade to try to match. I'm going in with the inner corner shade to do my inner corner and pop it a little bit. And this is the final eye look. I will zoom you in and show you. Mcgrath. This is Natasha Denona. They definitely look very similar. Obviously, Natasha Denona is a little cooler because on the Pomegranate there is no black option, but the darkest shade is kind of this purpley burgundy kind of dark brown. It has some warmth, it has some red to it. So basically that's the difference. On this side, the biggest difference. The smoky shade that I use from the Pomegranate has a lot more purple than the shade. The shade is more silver gunpowder in tone, but it does have some purple, which makes the two sides a little closer. Finally, the one other shade that I use is the inner corner highlight, and I have to say, just like we swatch, the Natasha Denona is more blinding. The application so far, I prefer the Natasha Denona. I think things are a little more buttery and creamy. The shimmers are more impactful, but they're not too intense. It's not too dark, so it's easier to blend out. The Pomegranate formula is a little bit more dry in both the shimmers and the mattes, so it's a little bit more hard. It's not as easy to apply, and it's so intense in pigment, so you need to go slowly. So you do need a little bit more expertise, a little bit more skills when you work with Pomegranate. And I don't know if that has to do with the age of the palette. Maybe mine is older, I don't know. This one is obviously brand new, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I think that this eye is a little more, the Glam palette is a little more beginner friendly. That's the first look. I really do like it. I think they can both go the same level of smokiness, even though the Pomegranate doesn't have a black, but the darkest shade right here is so powerful and intense that it can go really, really smoky. So I'm very happy about that. Yeah, so let me wipe this off and I will be back to do the second look. So I did prime my eye with concealer, and right now I'm going to do a bronze look, because looking at this Pomegranate, there are only two looks that are similar to the Glam palette, and the first one we just did, cool taupey shimmery smoky look, and the second one is obviously the bronze. So I'm going to try that out, but first I want to dip a fluffy brush to this shade, the darkest shade, as a transition shade from my upper lash line, and I'm gonna go very slow on it. I don't want to make it so intense like the last look, and I'm going to keep it down. I'm not going to blow it up as much. Slowly building up. So I still want to go pretty smoky, but I'm not going to go as far as the other look that we just did. And then for the outer corner, this time I'm not going to flick it up. I'm not going to wing it up. I'm going to wing it out more. And then I'm going to take the same shade, the dark brown, and I'll run it all over the lower lash line. But again, I'm keeping it really tight. This look is more inspired by Korean pop. So like Korean boy band. This is what I want to go for. I'm not going for like the glam smoky look. This is more like tamed down and more moody kind of a look. And I did add it into my upper inner corner. Now that we have that base, I'm gonna now use the bronze, same flat brush that I wiped up on the middle of the upper lash line. I want to warm up the whole look with it. And use this flat side to stamp it on the center of the lower lash line. I add a little bit of the lightest shade for the inner corner highlight again, and I add a little more of the brown shade for the outer corner because I want to deepen it up. So that's basically done. Now we'll move on to the Natasha Denona. This time I'm going to use again combination of the smoke and the lash line shade to create the same base. Outer eyelid shade as a base for this center eyelid shade, and I'm going to use the flat brush. Outer eyelid shade, the formula really reminds me of the shimmers in the Pomegranate palette because it's a little more subdued. It's not overly buttery like the other shades, but it still have a very nice blend to it. And then I'm going to use a tiny bit of this brown shade. As I expected, it's very intense. Immediately brighten up the look, so I'm going to tone it down with the shimmer shade again. In the corner highlight. Actually, I'm going to use the brow bone shade to use with this fluffy side to add some interesting shimmer to this look. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye using the highlight shade. Alright, finally I did add a little bit of eyeliner and a little bit of lip. I don't know if it matched, but this is the final look. So again, this is the Pomegranate side. And this is the Natasha Denona side. I actually think they are really, really close to each other. Now listen to me. I know that they have different kind of shade. Then first of all, the Pomegranate only have 6 shade for the same price, but you know, most of the time you can wait for a sale to get it. And it's kind of the formula from my palette anyway is a little bit drier. It's a lot more intense in pigmentation and the tones are very dark. So most likely you will get a more intense look. And the Glam palette, you have less product in each eyeshadow, but you do have more shades. You have 15 shades and you have a wider variety of choices. You have some of the more cooler silvery gray looks, you have some pink, you have a few transition choices. Pomegranate and Natasha Denona are both very luxury brands and their formulas are both very popular and supposed to be top notch. So those are my thoughts. Personally, I think I would probably recommend the Glam palette from Natasha Denona a little bit more just because you have more options and different kinds of look you can go for with this palette. Not like this one you can't. You can have a lot of looks and a lot of time you can do a one shadow kind of look because these shades are like velvet, so it's not so shimmery like some of the shades in here. So you can actually use them on the crease and just blend it out and that will be a look. It's very smoky, it's very simple. You don't need to deal with a lot of shades and don't know what to do. But the formula is a little bit challenging in blending and it requires you to be a little more patient. For this one, it's more beginner friendly and it's more for makeup collector. The shadows are so buttery and so smooth, very easy to blend out. The pigmentation is good, but you can build it up slowly. So far, I really enjoy it, but quite frankly, I'm glad that I have both because this one goes smoky faster. So if I know I'm gonna go smoky and I don't have much time, this is the one I'm gonna reach for. I hope you find this video helpful. I hope you like the looks I created. You should let me know in the comment section below which formulas you like better. You like Pomegranate, you like Natasha Denona, which one you prefer, and do you think these two palettes are a dupe after you watch my video, or you think that you need both, or you don't need either of them. Next video I'm gonna do 4 different looks using this palette, and I I think after I do that, I will have a very good idea to give you my full review of the Glam palette. And I already have a first impression video where I do all the swatches from this palette, comparing with the swatches from this palette and the mini Glam. I'll link it down below. But don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can get updated on my videos, and click the bell notification button so you get notified every time I post a new video, which is gonna be weekly and sometimes even more than one video per week. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. That will really encourage me to make better content for you. With that said, I will let you go. I hope you have a great day, and remember, don't flop.